Welcome to the Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. I'm Kelly, mom of 2 teenagers, serial entrepreneur, and lover of all things that inspire and empower women. After years of supporting women on their journeys, I'm thrilled to be here to spotlight the powerhouse women who make Fort Mill so special.
And I'm Leah, mom of a very busy toddler and your go-to financial guru for making sense of money and planning for the future. I absolutely love helping women feel confident in their finances. And together, Kelly and I are here to connect you with the stories, tips, and insights that can help you thrive personally and professionally.
Every week, we're inviting you to join us for a quick 20-minute chat with local female business owners, women who are really changing the game here in Fort Mill.
You'll walk away with new ideas, practical advice, and a deeper connection to the community. Whether you're seeking motivation, actionable tips to grow your business, or just a bit of solidarity and the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, you're in the right place.
This is the Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Let's dive in and meet the incredible women here in our community.
Hey, moms of Fort Mill on the Women of Fort Mill podcast. This is Jewel Wiesinger from Huntington Learning Center, Fort Mill. Huntington is the nation's recognized leader in educational services since 1977. If your child is struggling in any area of school, phonics, vocabulary, reading, writing, math, or study skills, if you're looking for help on the SAT or the ACT, we are who you need to see. Our individualized instruction sets us apart from other educational services and is developed through a comprehensive academic evaluation completed in person in our center. All of our teachers are certified, retired certified, or create a bachelor's or advanced degree in their subject matter. We are committed to providing this personalized instruction with our teachers and monitor your child's progress throughout. You can find us on Instagram as well as Facebook or give us a call, 803-548-8070.
Well, hello there and welcome to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. I'm Kelly Hoover and I'm here with my co-host, Leah Williams, and we are so excited about today's episode and we're glad that you are joining. We've got an amazing episode, one that is packed full of education, and so happy that we have Miss Jewel Wiesinger in today from Huntington Learning Center. She has 2 centers, actually one in Fort Mill and one in Waxhaw. And today's episode, you guys buckle up. It's going to be all about education, specifically our sweet town of Fort Mill education. And she's going to be sharing just some tips on how we all as parents can best support our children during their time in school. How you can learn a little bit more about Huntington and the services that they offer. And so Leah and I are so excited to have Jewel on today because we have been connected with Jewel through an incredible group called Women's Business League. And we have learned a lot about her and her family, but specifically about her passion for education, her incredible background in education, and really just the desire to help us all as parents be more efficient, breathe confidence into our children. And so I'm so excited, Jewel, that you're on today. Before I kick it over and we just dive in, I want to share just a little bit. Huntington Learning Center, there are 2 centers, one in Fort Mill, right here in our town, and one over in Waxhaw. And specifically, if you have not heard of Huntington Learning Center, they specialize in tutoring for phonics, vocabulary, reading, writing, math, and study skills. You guys, they specialize all the way from pre-kindergarten all the way through college. So this really can impact every home here in Fort Mill, specifically when you have children. One of the things I know I'm excited to learn more about is SAT preparation, ACT preparation, and really the dive into that. Because trust me, I have picked Jewel's brain already for my girls. Leah and I are excited to have you on today, Jewel. So let's dive right into the episode.
Jewel, we're so excited. And while I am in the early stages, I've got a 2.5-year-old. I already know who my resource is when he starts going to school. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your passion, and of course, Huntington Learning Center?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much to you both for having me today. I'm really excited to be here and let the Fort Mill mom community know what we do, but also to help them know how to just work at home with their children as well. I am a mom as well. I have an 8-year-old second grader, and I am stepmom to a 24-year-old. So I have been through the elementary school ages, middle and high school, and college acceptance already personally, which is interesting because they're 16 years apart. So it was quite a bit at the time. I actually started as a school psychologist. I did my graduate work at Winthrop And then I worked in Gaston and Union counties. I've always had a passion for education. And what happened is that saw very distinct gaps in what the school systems were able to offer. It got to the point where it bothered me that I wasn't able to do the job that I had gone to school for 3 years after undergraduate, as well as seeing the faces of parents whose students couldn't get the services that they needed. My family, we own, it's my mom, my dad, my husband, and I. We are the owners. I'm the one that's in the centers every day, although for a little laugh, my parents do clean the centers, which is their retirement job, which I don't think is super fun, but that's fine. Our first center in the Waxhaw, Weddington, Wesley Chapel area opened in 2016. I had a very steep learning curve because I was an educator first. I didn't know I needed an attorney for paperwork, an accountant, like what's payroll. I didn't know anything. I was solely focused on building the educational side. And I was very lucky because my parents and my husband had the business experience. After 5 years of success and honestly getting through COVID, running a small business in education kind of lit a fire under us. And we thought, what would be the next natural step? And that was Fort Mill. My husband has worked in Rock Hill for 10 years. My mom was a real estate agent. She did a lot in the area. So the natural next step was to open, I call it our toddler because Fort Mill is 2.5 years old and our other center's almost 9. That to me was very important. And we know that there are educational needs everywhere. So it's really exciting. Professionally, I like that I still get to do things for education, not just in the center, but outside as an advocate for educational foundation. On the corporate level, although we are a franchise, I do sit on the National Test Prep Council. Kelly, you mentioned SAT and ACT. I have all of the ins and the outs and the early info. That's kind of my niche is SAT and ACT prep, but I will never, ever dislike. I'll always love the little kids. So if I have to step on the teaching floor and I'm working with a second grader, that's not my child because that's hard. I thoroughly enjoy every single age group. It's just my niche is definitely SAT and ACT prep.
Well, Jewel, I know Kelly and I have gotten to hear just a more inside look into what's going on in the Fort Mill school system. And for me, it's incredibly eye-opening. I know I'm not there yet with my little one, but just to know what's going on and how impactful the work that you're doing is. Can you give us an update on the state of education in Fort Mill? I know a lot of people move here because the schools are good. So if you could shed some light on really what's going on there for parents.
Yes, you're exactly right. A lot of people move here for the schools. And a lot of the research that I've been doing has been about the performance of the school systems because I have centers in both North and South Carolina. The performance of the school systems, even looking at cost per pupil, what we're spending on education. Fort Mill is a very small pocket of schools in South Carolina in that larger York district. And it's definitely distinguished by excellency. The 2024 report cards were released in October. 16 That's a lot of schools. 16 of the schools in Fort Mill were rated excellent, 3 good, and 1 received an average rating. The graduation rate has increased, and then the composite SAT score has also increased to above the national average. They do Ready ELA and math, and they're the highest in the state. And then something that is of particular interest to me and is always on my heart is teacher retention. And Fort Mill has teacher retention at almost 90%. That is something that is a vast achievement because it's very hard to keep teachers these days. So these are all amazing statistics, and I don't ever want to take away from a school district for having such amazing statistics. The issue becomes is that we have to understand that Fort Mill is part of South Carolina, and South Carolina is one of the lower performing states in the country. It is in the 40s. The statistics that I just mentioned, so those are just a comparison to other school districts in South Carolina. What they are comparing from that report card is other districts, and they're high performing. Union County, where our other centers are, it's very similar. The last national educational report card came out in 2022, so it's not as updated as I would like. But for example, this is something that's very interesting. And Leah, with your love of numbers, I think you'll appreciate this and see some sort of, you're like, what's happening? If you look at the U.S. News and National Report from 2024, South Carolina is ranked number 42 in education. However, they are number 26 in per pupil spending. And if you don't know what per pupil spending is, it's the allotment per child that the state gives to each school district. And then you've also there's a trickle down effect, which we don't have enough time to go into that. But the per pupil spending is number 26, and it's like less than $600 below the national average, which is about $16,000. So for the sake of time, I want to focus on the positive that Fort Mill is doing very well in comparison to other South Carolina districts. It's just not apples to apples that we're comparing. The only time that we'll really see the difference is if, let's say, a student moves out of state or when our high school kids are applying to college, then we'll see the differences. Your higher ranking states are places like Florida, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, a lot of those Northeast states. One of the reasons that Huntington is here is because our assessments, which every student comes in for an evaluation, they are not based on South Carolina. They're not based on North Carolina. They're not based on Florida. They are nationally normed as opposed to locally normed. So we know where a student actually is.
Wow. I had no idea that there was that much detail around our kids' individual education and then the amount of spending. I think it's actually a lot of money that the states spend on schools per year. So, yeah, you taught me a ton, Joel, and it makes complete sense. So many people, I would say the majority of people I have met in the last 10 years in Fort Mill have moved here because of the schools, because they'll maybe get a job in the Charlotte area and then they end up in Fort Mill because the schools are so excellent. And I do know, because I am a native South Carolinian, that our state has always been on the lower end. But the fact that Huntington actually takes and looks at your child on the national level and kind of sees where they compare is so important, because I know right now my oldest is a junior and trying to look at prepping for college and stuff. You're competing in the state of South Carolina against so many out-of-state students, right? So your competition is not just here in Fort Mill. It is amongst South Carolina, but then outside of it, because I mean, who doesn't want to be here in our state, right? So very, very fascinating. And really, like, I mean, Leah, what great information to know, right? Before, you even have a child that goes into public schools. So that's incredible. So Jewel, my next question for you are, what are your top tips? So I know there's a lot of parents that are listening and their child, our children go in and sometimes they're confident in certain classes and certain subjects because they've been deemed, oh, you're good at math, you're good in English, but every year's a little different and every teacher teaches different and has different expectations and communication. So can you just share a few tips that you would give for our children to actually be confident in every year and specifically in their own education? Because I know this does impact a lot of families.
Yeah. So nationally, it's interesting that you asked me that question. Nationally, Huntington's tagline is skills, confidence, and motivation. If you are lacking in skills, then your confidence decreases and then you don't have motivation for school. The first part is maybe your child isn't good at math, but that's a mindset. You can work hard so that can be better. You don't have to be good at everything. Children need confidence and motivation in every aspect of their lives, from academic achievement to extracurriculars, right? So we have to find these opportunities to build in both the small and the big successes. You have tiny little successes every single day. To give you an example, I'm going to use my own child who's in second grade. We are deep into Common Core math, which I understand but don't prefer. And she said, I don't like second grade the other day. And I said, well, why not? And she said, well, because I don't like the math. And it's because she didn't do well on a worksheet. She got check minus. Well, in that same group of papers, that's why I'm going this, same group of papers was a check plus because she got over 20 problems correct working independently. That is her small success that was overarching on that I don't like math. This is why at Huntington, we focus on meeting the child where he or she is. And that's what every parent needs to do. If your child is in third grade and not reading on a third grade level, don't push those books. Put them on an independent level so they can learn to enjoy reading, right? Like enjoy it. It's such an amazing thing to have time to do. In our evaluations, we identify skill gaps. So let's say someone comes in and their fourth grader is struggling. We're not just going to go into fourth grade material. We're going to go in and we're going to fill those gaps. And so you're building your skills to build the confidence. The gaps are not going to fill themselves. And whether you use Huntington or another service, what you have to understand is it takes time, and building in the small successes, such as for a fourth grader, finally being able to go and take that STAR assessment and get into the average range at school. We don't want kids to experience difficulty. And when they do, we have to find those bright spots in their day. And whether again, a check plus for getting everything right, a you finished a book, whether it's on your grade level or not, or you find joy in something that's an extracurricular. That confidence is so important. And I keep saying this, but we see students come in and it's even for SAT and ACT prep. We see students come in and they're depleted. High school is hard. They have so much to do. And on that level, it's hard because you have to learn these test taking skills and all these concepts that you haven't used or you don't know. And you see that confidence build as they take practice tests. Last night at 8:30, I got a video from a parent. The student I worked with, he raised his SAT score over 250 points. He worked incredibly hard. We started the process in 10th grade, finished at the beginning of his junior year. And last night I got the video of his opening his computer, logging on to Tennessee and getting his acceptance. Direct admit into the nursing program and a partial scholarship every year because of his SAT scores. Now that student he was not a confident test taker. And I said to him, sometimes I'll say, I don't care if you have it, pretend you do. It goes from our littlest children, our pre-K, these little tiny little children that I can't even see come in the door, to our tallest, these giant football players that are trying to raise their SAT scores. And I'm like, hi, you have to find the ways to pull their confidence in anything that you do.
Here I am about to cry. I can't imagine how grateful those parents feel and how much fulfillment you feel when you see the results. I even look up to Kelly. I've told her so many times, you're such an incredible mom. It's just, now that she has teenagers, we never want our kids to experience pain. And it's heartbreaking when you can see that they feel like they're failing. Even in my 2.5-year-old, he's been in speech therapy for a long time and he will just break down and cry if he can't say something. But to know that there's, on the academic side, that your child can be transformed, their confidence can be radically changed by having the help and support. I mean, this is life-changing. This doesn't just help them do well in school. This helps them be a great, confident person forever. So I'm just can't say enough good things about you. But what are one or two things that parents in Fort Mill can learn from your expertise? Any suggestions that you would have?
Well, first, let me tell you, Leah, I did. I was actually up with my girlfriends from high school last night when I got the video, and I went to the corner and watched it, and I had tears, especially after what his mom said to me afterwards. So that's why I do this. It's why when I walk by a child who wasn't reading when they came in to the center the very first time, and now they're reading on grade level, that I get lightheaded and my heart skips a beat because of what I'm seeing. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I get a lot of messages, direct messages from Facebook and Instagram saying, this is what I need help with. That's the first step. I want to be able to be approachable to parents. Do I have a lot of educational background? I 100% do. Our center director, Jasmine, who's lovely, she has an educational background as well. And having the opportunity, if you're concerned, use me. Just because you call me and you ask what services that we're offering, and I say, this is what I can offer you. This is our academic evaluation process. This is what we would do after. Even if you decide that you don't want to use me, that's fine, but have a conversation about what else can I do. I have several of these Facebook messages that have turned into phone calls, and we've talked through a lot of students with special education services, especially because of my background in school psychology. And we've had conversations about, well, what's the best way for me to advocate for my child? What can I do at home? And they may not end up using Huntington, and that's okay because they found a way to help their child on their own. Maybe they can't access our services, but take advantage of our experience. Talk to me, call me. Now, I would prefer to talk to you on the phone. The Facebook Messenger thing, I get overwhelmed, a lot of typing. But the conversation really dials into what we as moms are really looking for to help our child. And then you can let us take the lead, or you can say, hey, this isn't for us right now, but thank you for your time. And then we'll move on. 15 years plus for me in education. Jasmine has even more. We know so much, and we connect with the schools. We connect with the families. We advocate during IEP meetings if your child does get special education. We're here. Talk to us.
I love that. And I know for me, I've asked you multiple times questions, and I've also, referred people and have been so incredibly happy with the process and the services. So Closing out, my last question for you is how can our listeners connect with you specifically and have that conversation with you, learn more about how Huntington Learning Center can help their child? And do you have any special offers for our audience?
Of course I do. Come on now. So the best way to reach us, for me, if you want to talk to myself or Jasmine or even our amazing assistant director who is from the UK, so just talking to him makes you feel calmer. Our phone number is on Google. It's direct to us. You will reach us. That's 803-548-8070. We are on Instagram at HLC Fort Mill SC. That's our handle. I'm not very good with the social media, so I come up with the ideas, and Jasmine and our center director in Weddington actually execute. So you only occasionally see me on there. And then, of course, we're on Facebook, just Huntington Learning Center Fort Mill. Feel free to email me. We can set up a time to chat. If you email me, then I'm one of those people trying to create boundaries. I do have a work cell phone, but I do use that quite frequently to talk to parents. And then as far as a special offer is a free consultation. Get in touch with me, set up a time, 20 to 30 minutes. We'll go over the scores. I can tell you how we can help you. And I can also tell you how you can help yourself without Huntington services. It's important to start working towards this spring test. And then our academic evaluations are typically $200. They are either a full academic assessment for pre-K through 12, and it's anywhere from 2 to 3.5 hours, depending upon the age, with a teacher. And then including a conference and the development of a program, it's typically $200. So offer to the Women of Fort Mill listeners $75 for that. So $125 off. And then also $75 for an SAT or an ACT. Come in and take those. And that includes my analysis of your testing, which is not just one page like you get from College Board or ACT, but multiple pages of data. And then we do also lesser known tests. We do the ICEE for entrance into private school, the GRE for high school, and then also the Armed Services Battery, called the ASVAB. So that would also be included in that $75 evaluation.
You were so generous. Oh my gosh. And I feel like we need to keep you on for 6 hours because there's so much to learn. But I'm so grateful that we're connected to you so that we can continue to learn from you. I would encourage everyone, connect with Jewel on social, both on Huntington Learning Center, and then just her personally, she is a gem of a person. That's the reason her name is Jewel. She's so incredible. So I hope everyone connects with her. We so appreciate you tuning in with us this week. Don't forget to follow us at Women of Fort Mill Podcast for more behind the scenes, news on what's coming out, specials from our incredible guest speakers like Jewel, and also sign up for our newsletters so that you can stay in the loop. We have a lot of fun stuff coming out. If you loved today's episode, we would be so appreciative if you take a moment to rate, review it, share it with people that you think would find value from this as well. And we appreciate your time. That is it for our episode today. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time on the Women of Fort Mill podcast. And until then, keep showing up, supporting each other, and making a difference, just like Jewel.
Hey, moms of Fort Mill on the Women of Fort Mill podcast. This is Jewel Wiesinger from Huntington Learning Center Fort Mill. Huntington is the nation's recognized leader in educational services since 1977. If your child is struggling in any area of school, phonics, vocabulary, reading, writing, math, or study skills, if you're looking for help on the SAT or the ACT, we are who you need to see. Our individualized instruction sets us apart from other educational services and is developed through a comprehensive academic evaluation completed in person in our center. All of our teachers are certified, retired certified, or create a bachelor's or advanced degree in their subject matter. We are committed to providing this personalized instruction with our teachers and monitor your child's progress throughout. You can find us on Instagram as well as Facebook or give us a call, 803-548-8070.
Thank you for tuning in to Women of Fort Mill, South Carolina. We love bringing you the stories of these incredible women, and we hope you're walking away with a little extra inspiration every week. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps us reach more amazing women like you and grow our supportive community.
And for all the latest updates, tips, and behind-the-scenes fun, make sure to follow us over on Instagram, Women of Fort Mill Podcast. and tag us to share what inspires you each week. Plus, join our email list to stay connected, be the very first to know about the new episodes and fun events. Thanks for being a part of our Fort Mill family. We'll see you next week with another inspiring woman right here at Women of Fort Mill Podcast.